G'day. This is Vermicastings, and we're going to go through some theory and some prac. And the topics are enhanced vermicasting criteria, quality comparison against conventional vermicastings, how to prepare vermicastings, types of worms and which ones are best, different styles and how to make them, and how to separate it. So earthworms are being used to speed up the decomposition process. And down the bottom here there's a few real good types. We'll go through them a bit later in detail. So vermicastings, it's derived from the word vermis, which means worm, and they're the intestines of the earth. Down the bottom, organic material like humus, cattle dung and kitchen waste are highly sought over. And here's an example. So the bottom right is something that I have already done and harvested. Top right, what we're going to build back up again. Third line down, they're rich in available plant nutrients, hormones, enzymes and benign microbial populations, and they're mostly pathogen free. And this shows the benefit bottom left on the using vermicastings: enhanced soil health and quality, and disease and pest resistance improves heaps, and it's better for the environment. And bottom right, if you want to stick to using the salts and chemicals, you get better soil erosion and better salinity, which is shit. More cost, and it's way worse for the environment. You know, eutrophication or pollutants and stuff like that when you're adding them to the environment. This shows the quality. So bottom on the middle right, -51, shows that if you use your MPKs, that's the quality, with the bottom two and the pluses, that's your organics. Now this is some quality criteria you want for your vermicomposts. You want physical characteristics, chemical characteristics and biological characteristics. I'm not going to read them, sorry. These are way more important. So top left, you want organic carbon, you want it to be in your 20 to 30 range, 20 to 30 to 1 ratio. Your pore space and your moisture, that's wrong, it's 60 to 80%. You want it to be wet, it's got to be dampish. That's sort of the main criteria for that. And now is a good comparison between conventional and enhanced vermicasting. So top left, we're in the blue, the NPK and CalMag, and then on the top, it's conventional vermicastings, then microbial, then enriched. So if you compare the conventional to the next two, there is a decent difference. It's really like massive difference. So and this is the way to do it. Nitrogen, you want to use your neem cakes, some oil cakes, some poultry manure, but make sure you break that down first. Green stuff in it has heaps of nitrogen. And for phosphorus, you want your rock phosphate and bone meal. That's really good. Potassium's mostly ash types of stuff. And for CalMag, limestone, gypsum and dolomite, but remember that really does adjust your pH, it goes up and down. Enrichment of vermicastings can be done two ways: adding rock minerals during compost, or you can add rock minerals afterwards when they're ready. I put my microbes in earlier so I can let them work in the environment and do their jobs, unlock their things for the plants. Like here, see on the bottom left, this is a preparation for enhanced using microbes. So there's trichoderma, azos and some bacillus, and they're the phosphorus and potassium solubilizing bacteria. Then there's the mix. And then up to the top is the composting, so you add your dung, your weeds, everything together. And then it comes down, you add your microbes and your earthworms and your rock phosphate if you want, and then you'll get your soil quality out the bottom. And on the bottom right shows the addition of your rock phosphates, dolomite and mica, to the mix. So it's gone up with the phosphate because it's rock phosphate, and the others have shown up in their regions too because they've got CalMag and potassium. I've been through extensively the microbe study. The link's up in the top right hand corner if you want to see that for enhancing and the results. On the right hand side, optimum decomposition starts with a mixing ratio of 30:1 or 20:1, in that ratio at least. Down the bottom, that link is for the MPKs if you want to check out your stuff, if you want to do it yourself. And the reason why you want the right ratio is because on the left the graph shows if it's a 30:1 it's going to enter the thermophilic stage, and if it's 40 to 60:1 it's not going to enter that. So it needs to get up to that hot temperature to break down all of the different parasites and weeds and all seeds and that types of stuff. And this shows the mesophilic and thermophilic range, that if you don't enter the thermophilic stage it doesn't get to break down the weeds and pathogens. And this is a cool approximation of your carbon to nitrogen ratios for different things. So in the top you've got your green, bottom's brown. Green is to enhance bacteria and brown's to enhance fungal growth. So if you've got something that's really strong in your green, like your nitrogen, and you want to mix it up, if it's hell strong, you can add some saw clippings or something like that, and if it's not so strong, add some paper or straw maybe. This one shows an approximate of the CN ratios, just with different things. Also, I just want to put this up just to show, don't put in like fats and oils and things like that that are really going to break down and cause problems. This is my setup. So a little tote on a drum on an angle, and you'll see underneath it there's a little catch bucket there. That's for all the overflow, and it's very important you put on the angle because you don't want any anaerobic problems, pythium, fusarium, yuck. This is how I build it back up. So I start with, this is the first layer, this is the cardboard layer, and stems underneath. This has toilet rolls. See, I've left them big to encourage fungal growth, small if I wanted bacteria. The next one's bokashi, heaps of microbes in there, holy mackerel. Plus ground up manure. I use rupu because it's vegetarian and there's no antibiotics or anything like that. Make sure if you're going to get source your stuff, vegetarian, no antimicrobials, antibiotics, because it'll kill your stuff. And this is a bark layer that I put in, and got to have all the veggies. This is the veggie layer, nicely chopped up, still left a bit big, so I want to encourage a little bit of fungal growth in there. And this is some yard grass to encourage some protozoa. And this is them old castings that's covered on the top, just to get them recycled back through, as these were the old castings from before. But with the worms, look at the worms, they're the ones that we need to make them work for us. And there's 3 different types of worms. So you got your epizoic, endozoic, and anaic, and they all different levels that they go at. Like epizoics, one we want because they're up near the top, endos are in the middle, and anaics are really, they go deep. So on the top left, epizoic species, just to add to some more, there's tiger worms, red wigglers, manure worms, compost worms. And now we'll go on the next chart over, and the main thing with this is, if you look, they live in litters and consumes decompostable organic matter. That's for the epizoic. We go down to the endos, and look in the middle there, it says it lives in burrows in organic minerals, but complex as well, consumes soil. And the same one with the one below. Look at that, it consumes the castings. So you have to make sure you get the right ones. And I put this one in just to show that more species, just to add to the list down the bottom, the earthworm species or composting worms you want, brandling, red wigglers. And you have to consider the temperatures, because if it's too low, they're not going to do their action. And this shows on the graph that the difference for the sulfur and the nitrogen mineralized from the temperatures, that if it, once it increases and goes up, that the rates of mineralizing goes up as well. Now we get into the cool design. So this is showing my design basically just with a tote, and it's got so much more improvement. Like this one, I reckon this is the best. It's called a continuous vertical flow. So it's just got different layers, and if we go on the right hand side, you can see they're just like drawers. So what you do, you put your veggie scraps in up the top, and the worms will migrate into them. Once they're done, they'll just go to the next section, like down on the bottom. So if that one was done a while ago, you see how it's all brown, so you just pull the drawer out, tip it out, and it's done. There shouldn't be anything in it. Like with me, it takes me 4 hours to sort of go through it. It's not the best. And this is if you're going to do it on a larger scale. Look how cool these are, these multiple tiered bamboo setups that they've done. That's just so blooming clever. I love it. And this is for the smaller bloke, for the farm. Please do it. You can sell and make good money off it. Look at this, just sticks and bamboo and a little bit of fly screen, or shade cloth, I suppose, not fly screen. Yeah, and it works perfect. That's a great little setup. And this is the insides and how it runs. You just make long boxes, like here. I'm just going to skim this. Boxes, no bottoms in the bottom, dark conditions, keep it moist, and that should be it. Because see here, the moisture goes in, and the temperature is 60 to 80% for the moisture, and the temperature 20 to 35 Celsius on the screen's Fahrenheit. So for me to do a harvest here, see on the right there, so I'll be scooping it into the tote down onto the bottom, setting up and shaping them as a pyramid, and then all the worms go down to the bottom. So you can scoop it up off the top and put it into another container. It takes 4 hours to do that. Or you can do it like these people. See on the left, she's got a ring, so she's going to harvest like a sifting thing. It's going to sift through and then scoop out, sift, scoop. So that's faster. Or in the middle, it's a shaker, and then on the right hand side, it just shows how it just comes out the bottom after being vibrated off the table. In the middle, in the vermicomposting process, the use of rock minerals and microbial inoculants in organic waste enhanced the earthworm growth rate, hence improve the quality of vermicastings with respect to higher availability of macronutrients. Nitrogen went up 26%, phosphorus went up 19%, and potassium 10% over conventional vermicastings. And down the bottom, the effective shelf life of vermicastings storage is approximately 90 to 105 days. Happy breeding, happy growing.